Hello, hello. Today I've got a Yongshen 2001 to look at. It's my understanding that Yongshen is also Wingsung, and this is a gold pen, not gold coloured pen with some engraving patterns in there. I'm not entirely sure why I got this, if I'm honest with you. I'm not usually an all gold metal kind of guy, but I think I was just browsing AliExpress one evening, and maybe I've been watching some pen videos or something, and I thought, give that a shot. Anyway, here it is. Thanks, Bill. Let's take a little look through the pen. So on the cap band, you have some Chinese symbols. You have 2001, perhaps that says Yongshen. And then you have Lucky on the back. So that's Lucky. It is cigar shaped, kind of classic pen. Plain finials on cap and back. Clip, also gold, got a little grippy half ball thing there. Works fine, not too stiff, does the job. It is a snap cap to reveal gold concave section. Apologies for any dust. There's also already a few usage scratch marks on there. There you go. And then you've got a steel nib, fine, with a hair on it. Number 6 sized, I think. I'll double check. But it's recessed quite low is why I'm a bit curious, but I will double check and let you know. Concave section, steel nib, plastic feed, Lucky again on the nib. Some other little swirl engraving there. Cartridge converter pen. Comes with like a vintagey style aerometric converter. Squeezy. Lucky again on there. Something lucky about this pen. I can't quite put my finger on it. This does come out. It does. Hang on. Yes, it does. Yes. It does come out. Not sure if that's standard international or not. Could be. But that just friction fits into there. Or even clicks. Not sure how wild I am about these on more modern pens. This seems to work okay so far, but they're a bit of a pain to clean. I prefer a modern converter. Obviously, on a vintage pen, I'll take it because it's a vintage pen and that's how it was made, and that's absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with it as long as it works. I'd prefer just a normal converter on there. I should probably check if any others fit, but I haven't as yet. There's no O-ring to seal the barrel when you screw that up. What I will say, actually, just before I put that back on, is when you put the barrel back on, this converter, you do have to line it up a little bit because it can catch something up the back here, probably the screw thread inside there or something like that. It goes on but anyway. So that screws back up. No O-ring there. It's reasonably, I've not had it like accidentally come open except for one occasion or one reason. I'll get to that, but it's sturdy enough, I suppose. The snap is okay, however this is loose and the cap will rotate. That does annoy me, except for there's one point we get to. Try and do it slowly. There you go. Right, so there's one point where it sticks. So obviously the fit and finish isn't that fantastic. It's like there's one point where it won't rotate. So if you happen to snap it on at that point, no, missed it. But yeah, you can kind of rotate around and then that will stick. The downside of doing that is sometimes you will then unscrew the barrel, which is what I'm talking about. So yes, price of one of these was £8.55, including VAT and postage from China. So yeah, it's not brilliantly put together, but it's under 10 quid to my door from China, including everything. So, you know, it's probably another reason I picked it up. I was like, well, it's worth a punt. You never know. But yeah, I unpacked it and I immediately was not that impressed. I mean, the engraving actually isn't bad, as in it's smooth to the touch. I haven't found any raised edges on that or anything, which I did on something else recently, but I can't remember what it was. So that's okay. Obviously, it's blingy in gold and whatnot. You can get these in, there's like a red and green patterned one as well. Nib choice is fine as far as I could see. It was the only choice on AliExpress. So yeah, fine or nothing, basically. Let's take a look at some measurements. So we have a Yongshen or Wingsung or Lucky, who knows. So yeah, capped on, capped and posted, all in millimeters. Sorry, it does post, yes. So it will post, and actually posts more securely than it caps. That fits on there nicely and doesn't swivel or anything like that. Does add a bit of weight on the back, just obviously because it's an all metal pen, but it's not terrible. If it's not the longest pen in the world, so you might actually want that posted. It's, for size wise, it's not bad posted, and if you weren't a massive fan of this section, you could hold it a bit further back, personal preference. Anyway, trying to screw that on there. So weight, so it's a decent little weight in the hand, 45.5 grams ish. There's a bit of ink in the pen, so give or take a bit. Cap on its own, nearly 20 grams, and then uncapped the body of the pen. My calipers ran out of battery, so you'll have to forgive the impreciseness of this, but the barrel basically about 13 up here, tapering down to about 12 down here, and then the section is about 10 millimeters at the thinnest point of the concave there. Obviously it flares back out. Got a little, a curved step down there. I'm not sure how I feel about this section, if I'm honest with you. We'll get to that. Okay, let's look at a comparison and see how it writes. So let's look at size comparison. Got a few bits and bobs here. So for the obligatory Mont Blanc 146 and Mont Blanc 149 size comparisons, I've got a Moonman P136 and a Jinhao X159 flanking the Yongshen. So as you can see, it's a bit shorter than a 146 might be. I've got here an Asfine P50, which is there or thereabouts for an Aurora 88, I believe. Don't own one, but I believe so. Perhaps more modelled on that kind of Aurora-esque size. Then you've got TWSBI, Diamond 580, a Diplomat Excellence A2, and a Waterman Expert over here, and a Lamy Studio over there. So not the biggest, not the smallest pen in the world. What I would probably call a standard size, but that's very subjective. And standard for me might not be standard for you. Anyway, let's do a writing sample. See how we go with that. This is Clairefontaine 90 GSM paper. And do you know what I've done? I've done my measurements on the wrong side, so now I've got to do a writing sample with the binder thing over here. That annoys me. I know myself. Anyway, so what have we got? We've got a Yongshen 2001. I can't do that, Dave. Fine steel nib. Oh, I said I was going to check the size of it, didn't I? Hang on a second. I need a number 6 nib. Yeah, so it is number 6 size in the width there, but obviously recessed quite a bit, so shorter. It's a Yovo for comparison, by the way. Where was I? Fine. Steel nib. Number 6. Ink. Aurora Blue. Which I'm liking, Aurora Blue. It's becoming my go-to kind of standard blue, if you like. Anyway. The nib is actually not bad at all. You know what it's like? You get a pen and it's, as I mentioned, I'll be honest with you, this does feel a bit cheap in places. I mean, it is inexpensive, but it feels a bit cheap in places. I mean, as I say, I don't know why I bought this finish. I'm not really one for the kind of all gold blingy thing. But, you know, you've got a bit of rattle there. You've got the converter, which is a bit for me. And that catch it. So instantly when I got it and I was having a little play around with it, I was like, oh, this isn't, you know. But eventually I filled it up and I wrote that the nib's actually pretty good. It's smooth and flows well. There was, if you noticed, a little tiny hard start there and there. Let's do it quick. But actually, okay, I think it's the case that once you're kind of writing with it and going with it, it's okay. I have had the odd minor skip, kind of similar to like the minor hard starts there. It's just a tiny weeny bit. Obviously, I'm waving it around in the air and stuff. I'm trying to make excuses. It's better than I thought, if I'm honest. For wetness, even there you see the start of that. So you might get, there you go. So you might get the odd little skip off it and stuff. And I haven't tuned it or anything. This is as was, as was, as is, as is, as was, as came, as is, as was. Yes. Any variation? You can push a little tiny. It is stiff, but you can push a little bit, tiny bit of line variation out of there. Yeah, as I say, I haven't done anything to this, so feasibly, you could have a little tune up and maybe eliminate that hard start skip. But once I am writing with it, it's actually really nice. It's smooth, tiny weeny touch of feedback, good feedback, but it's pleasant to write with as long as it's not skipping. As I say, once you're in flow, it tends to be okay. So, you know, it's okay. It's okay. If it's your bag, it's okay. Look, under £10. Delivered to UK from China, including VAT. What do you want? You know, it's not the worst thing I've ever had, and it does work. At the end of the day, I've had pens arrive, whether they're in this kind of price range from China, made in China, or whether they're made somewhere else and a lot more money. I've had pens arrive that don't write. This nib's actually very good. I was pleasantly surprised, and snobby or not, I was more pleasantly surprised after I'd poked around with the other bits of the pen and gone, oh, this feels a bit cheap, this feels a bit thingy. Bottom line is, if it's in your hand, there's no rattle or anything like that. It writes well. It could write a bit better, but it writes well. It posts well. I mean, that's a decent size. If the section is obviously metal and a bit slippy, it's not that bad, because it is concave, so you're not going to go too far with that. look, if you don't like glossy metal sections, then, not for you. I generally don't mind them. So it can be a little bit slippy, but okay. You can actually hold that further back, especially if you're going to post that. You could hold that back here if you wanted to. And that's pretty comfortable. Adds a little bit of girth there in the way of the hand. That's not bad. It's not bad. It's okay. Not sure how much I'd take it out with me. I mean, that cap thing annoys the hell out of me. So that's my big bugbear, but that's me. But yeah, other than that, under a tenner. What can you say? It's okay. It's going to be potluck. There's obviously a bit of QC and stuff, so you might get a better one, you might get a worse one. But hey ho, not a bad pen. Not a bad pen for the price, shall we say. Hope you enjoyed. Take it easy. Catch you later.